Okay, so today we're going to talk about function operations, okay? A lot of this you have seen before. A lot of this you may not have, but it's very similar, okay? So with function operations, this is something that is really important to a lot that we will do this year, okay? You want to make sure you really understand this function notation because you're going to be seeing it a lot, and it's really important to your success this year and beyond, okay? So when you just see f of x, that's just function notation, right? Function of x is equal to 4x minus 3. Okay, when you are asked to evaluate, that means I want you to plug in a certain x value and give me out the function value. Okay, so on a quiz, I can't answer what does evaluate mean. So please make sure that when you are taking notes, you are writing down instructions. And then when you prepare for tests and quizzes, you are looking at those instructions with the problems. Because that's something that's really important. Okay, so let's start off kind of simple. F of 2. What does that tell me to do? Good. Plug 2 in for x. So this becomes 4 times what? 2 minus 3. What does that give us? 5. All right, go ahead and do f of negative 5. I don't know. All right, Ken, what'd you get? Negative 23. Good. All right. What do you think it would mean if I give you f of a? Plug in a for x. It's just like a number. Okay? So f of a just means where you see x, go ahead and put an a. So f for a minus 3. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. D says f of a plus 1. Okay. Follow the pattern. Every time we plug 2 in for x, we plug negative 5 in for x, we plugged a in for x. What are we going to plug in now? A plus 1 in for x. So 4 times a plus 1 minus 3. Now we're not just going to leave it like this. We're going to go ahead and simplify and combine like terms. So this would become 4a plus 4 minus 3, which gives me 4a plus 1. Good? Okay. Function operations. Let's do some operations with 2 different functions. So I'm giving you a function, f of x is equal to 4x, and g of x is equal to x minus 3. All right, so A says f plus g of x. How do you think we can interpret that? Any ideas? Okay. This is the same as f of x plus g of x. F plus g of x means the same thing as f of x plus g of x. You could see it either way. I could ask you it either way. So just make sure you recognize that those two mean the exact same thing. All right, so let's do it. F of x is 4x, and g of x is x minus 3. All right, what would that give us? 5x minus 3. Are you okay with that? Okay, so if I tell you that f plus g of x means f of x plus g of x, what do you think f minus g of x means? Yes, so smart. Okay, so f of x is 4x. Now, I'm not just subtracting the x part of x minus 3. I'm subtracting all of g of x. So what do you think I need to put g of x in? Parentheses, good. Got to subtract that whole function. Okay, which would give me 4x minus x plus 3, which gives me what? 3x plus 3. Okay? What do you think fg of x means? Good. F of x times g of x. All right, so what are we going to do? Okay, so 4x times what? Good. And what's that going to give us? Go ahead. Good job. All right. F over g of x. What are we going to do there?
Divide.
Yeah, divide what?
F of x over g.
Good. F of x over g of x. Okay, so f of x over g of x. Now, on these, you're not going to simplify at all. You're literally just going to take f of x and put it on top of g of x. Because we have not talked about how to simplify functions over functions, and I don't want you to start getting into bad habits. Okay, because that is a big part of our year, figuring out how to actually do that. For right now, just go ahead and put f of x over g of x. In this particular one, no, there's not. This is as simplified as it goes. But if I gave you some different functions, it could potentially be simplified, but we don't necessarily know how yet.
I mean, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Can I get you something?
No,
Okay. Just checking. All right, E. What do you think that means? Good. F of x times f of x. Go ahead and do that, please. All right, Syra, what'd you get? 16x squared. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Good job. All righty. Let's do some more. Here's new functions. G of x equals 3x squared minus 2, and h of x equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. I want you to please do the first one. G of A. back at your notes from the beginning if you're not sure what to do with that of A. We did it on 1C. All right, Miriam, what do you think? Perfect. All we're going to do is plug in A for X. 3A squared minus 2. Remember, G of 5 just means you plug in 5 for X, right? So G of A just means you plug in A for X. Don't get thrown off when we throw variables in.
Why is it not in parentheses?
You could put the A in parentheses. That would be fine. Okay, let's look at B. H of A plus 1. So just like we plugged in A for X, what do you think we're going to plug in for X this time? A plus 1. So that would be X squared. So instead of X squared, it's going to be A plus 1 squared plus 2 times A plus 1 plus 1. Okay, very important that we remember this. How do we square A plus 1? Okay, can we just distribute that 2 and say it's A squared plus 1? No, what do we have to do? Double distribute. Multiply it out.
It's not called like the x squared says 2x plus 1.
It's a quadratic equation, okay? So A plus 1 times A plus 1. So A times A is A squared. A times 1 is A. A times 1 is A. And 1 times 1 is 1. So what do we get? A squared plus 2A plus 1. All right, so this gives me A squared plus 2A plus 1. And then what am I going to do here?
Just double distribute.
Okay, good. Just distribute. Plus 2A plus 2. And then plus 1. So, yep, go ahead and combine like terms. And what do we get? A squared plus 4A plus 4. Questions? Cool. Let's look at C. G plus H of X. What's that one asking us to do? Add them. Add G of X and H of X. So give that a try. G of X plus H of X. All right, Hayden, what'd you get when you added these together?
4x squared plus 2x minus 1.
You guys agree? Good job. All right. G minus H of X. What are we going to do there? Good. And what's really important that we remember? Parentheses, right? You've got to subtract the whole H of X function. So you have to put it in parentheses. So we would have G of X, which is 3x squared minus 2, minus x squared plus 2x plus 1. And when you subtract that whole thing, what do you have to do?
Distribute the negative.
Yeah, distribute that negative.
Yeah.
So this is 3x squared minus 2 minus x squared minus 2x minus 1. Which would give me 2x squared minus 2x minus 3. Okay with that? Okay, we're going to use the same functions. So I rewrote them so that they're at the top of the slide, but they're the same functions that you already have written down. And let's do GH of X. Yeah, same givens. GH of X. So what does that tell us we're going to do? G of X times H of X. Okay. What do we do? Okay, how would we multiply? Good, we're going to double distribute. So let's start by distributing the 3x squared to each one. So 3x squared times x squared gives me what? 3x to the fourth. Good. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. How about 3x squared times 2x? What to the third? 6x to the third. Good. 3 times 2 is 6, and then x squared times x is x cubed. And then 3x squared times 1 is going to be 3x squared. Okay, now what do we do? Distribute the negative 2. Careful. All right, negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times 2x, negative 4x. And negative 2 times positive 1, minus 2. Okay, do we have any like terms we can combine? Yeah, the 3x squared and the 2x squared. All right, so 3x to the fourth plus 6x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 2. Questions?
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah. All right, look at F. G over H of X. What's that telling you to do? Good. G of X over H of X. So, yep. All we do. So G of X is 3x minus 2. Or sorry, 3x squared minus 2 over x squared plus 2x plus 1. And you are done. Okay, so if you look back at A through F, notice they've all been some function of x, right? G of x, G times H of x, G divided by F H of x, okay? But look at G. We've got G plus H of 2. What do you think that means we're going to do? Okay, so we've got two options. You can go ahead and do G plus H of x and then plug in 2. Or, as Matthew said, you can do G of 2 plus H of 2. It's your call. It's whatever makes most sense in your head. But are there going to be any x's in your final answer on part G? No. We are actually evaluating and getting a number. Okay? So, I would think of, to me, I think of it as G of 2 plus H of 2. You can do G plus H of x and then plug in 2. It's up to you. So I'm going to do it this way, though, if you want to do it a different way. So I'm going to do G of 2 plus H of 2. All right, so let's find G of 2. 3 times 2 squared minus 2. What's that going to give me?
Wait, we already have like G plus an H of 2, so we can just take the equation that we already did, just plug it in.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's 2 different ways you can do it. So you are more than welcome to do it that way. And we can check our answers together, okay? All right, so 2, what do we do first here? The 3 times 2 or the 2 squared? 2 squared, good. 2 squared is 4, times 3 is 12 minus 2, 10. Okay, so let's do H of 2. 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 1. All right, 2 squared is 4 plus 2 times 2. So 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 is And then what do I do with these two guys? Add them. So when there is an of a number, we know our answer is going to be a number. When there's an of x, the answer is going to have an x in it. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, so now I would like you to try this. GH of negative 1. GH of negative 1. Think about what that means. And work it out. Remember, there's two ways you can approach it. So I did it as g of negative 1 times h of negative 1. You didn't have to do it that way. If you did do it this way, what'd you get when you did g of negative 1? What'd you get when you did g of negative 1? 1. And h of negative 1? 0.
No, I thought we were multiplying. No.
Should have gotten 0. Anyone need me to work it out?
No.
Yeah? Which way did you do it? This way? Okay, so to get g of negative 1, that's 3 times negative 1 squared minus 2. Okay, negative 1 squared is a positive 1. Times 3 is 3. And then 3 minus 2 is where we get that 1. Okay? H of negative 1 is negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 plus 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, so minus 2 plus 1. So we get negative 1 plus 1, which is 0. And then 1 times 0 is where we get that 0. All right? Okay. Now we get to work my favorite problem of the year. This is a really cool problem because it sets you up for some stuff in pre-cal and calculus. Okay? When you get to calculus, you will hear Mrs. Capetta say at times, some of the hardest parts of calculus are remembering the algebra from 2 years ago. Okay, that's why pre-cal has pretty much a whole semester on algebra, because when you get to calculus, you've got to have the algebra. I'm not going to tell you where this comes from, because that's what Mrs. Capetta will teach you. But all you have to know is once you know where this comes from, you just have to be able to plug stuff in, which is what we've been practicing. Okay, so let's do it. Here's our function, 3x squared plus 5x minus 1. We want to find f of a plus h minus f of a all over a. If you are at the bottom of your paper, I suggest flipping to the back. This will take us quite a few steps. Okay, we are going to break this down into steps, so just stay with me. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is do f of a plus h, and I'm going to do this part in blue. Okay. f of a plus h. Think about everything we've done so far today. When you see a plus h inside the parentheses, what does it tell you to do? Plug in a plus h for x. All right, let's do it. So 3 times a plus h squared plus 5 times a plus h minus 1. Okay. Then it says to subtract f of a. Okay, well, what does that mean I'm going to do? Plug what in? A. And I'm going to subtract that whole thing once I plug in a. So I'm going to subtract 3a squared plus 5a minus 1. Why did I put this in parentheses? Yeah, you have to subtract the whole f of a. Okay, and then it tells me to divide by h, which we won't deal with that till the very, very end, but don't forget about it. Right now, all we've done is plug in. Everyone okay so far? Okay. The first of two tricky parts here. First of two tricky parts here is making sure we square a plus h correctly, which we talked about when we did a plus 1. How do we square a binomial? You double distribute. So go off to the side somewhere and think, okay, I want to do a plus h times a plus h. Okay. So a times a gives me a squared. A times h gives me AH. H times A, you can write it as HA, but is it also the same if I write AH again? And then H squared at the end. I'm with you, Cole. I got it. I gotcha. Okay, so how do I simplify this? A squared plus 2AH plus H squared. Okay, so I'm going to put that in place of this guy right here. You guys okay with that? All right, so this is 3 times a squared plus 2AH plus h squared. Now I'm just going to copy everything back down again. Okay, now what do you think we're going to do? Just how about distribute everything? All right, let's start distributing. What am I going to get? 3a squared plus 6ah plus 3h squared plus 5a plus 5h minus 1. Good. Okay, now we distribute our secret negative 1 here, right? So this is minus 3a squared minus 5a plus 1 all over h. Okay. Now comes the fun part. Look at that top row. Tell me some things you notice. Yeah, they're not exactly alike, though they're opposite, right? No. Okay, we can cancel some stuff out. If you get to this point and you can't cancel stuff out, go back and try again. You should be able to cancel out everything that does not have an h. So 3a squared cancels with negative 3a squared. 5a cancels with negative 5a. Negative 1 cancels with positive 1. So we are left with 6ah plus 3h squared plus 5h all over h. We're almost done. We're dividing by h. What do you notice about everything in the top? Okay, so pull an h out. That gives us 6a plus 3h plus 5. And then what can you do here? If you distribute, it'll go right back here. Yeah, look.
Yeah.
We also reminded that during meeting sophomore classes, we'll be meeting in the smaller gym for the class talks. Once again, the senior class during advisory period will go directly to the
He's ruining my perfect problem.
senior advisory teachers who are asked to meet
Sorry, video people.
at the gym.
So much fun.
Okay, so there's our answer. Look how cool that is. Look where we started. And there we go. How fun is that? Woo! Alright, so fun. Alright, you've got about no time. But here's your homework if you had time. One thing I do want to point out to you, real quick, freeze. Everyone freeze. On your homework's on the calendar. On your timeline. Freeze, everyone stop moving. On your timeline, it says, for these guys, also evaluate f of a plus 1. So make sure, in addition to f of 0, f of 3 halves, and f of negative 1, you also do f of a plus 1. Okay? Just because it's a weekend doesn't mean you get to bail on your homework. Make sure you do this because we need it for Monday. Thank you.
Wait.